Hey folks, this is Kalani. I'm going to be looking at the area, the Crown Pavilion. So this is the huge area down at the bottom of Divinity's Reach. If you don't know how to get here, you'll need to take this waypoint, the Crown Pavilion waypoint, in Divinity's Reach, and you'll find an elevator just next to it. If it's your first time, you'll be taken through the opening ceremony before you can get down here. So what have we got? Mainly a lot of mobs. So that means a lot of farming. You can see the amount of mobs, it's quite a lot. And you've got these spread across 6 zones. Now, these zones are designated for an enemy of humanity when we're not getting randomly attacked. That's one thing we'll get to in a little while. So, we've got centaurs, pirates, destroyers, ogres, bandits and flame legion. Now the most interesting thing is that you have random events that occur, and some of these events include a legendary mob, I guess, one of the champions, one of the staple heroes, villains, whatever you want to call them, although some of them are a little random. So we've got legendary Sparkus, Fire Splash. Now the interesting thing is, some of them actually have zone-wide abilities, such as this one. This one will actually spawn searing crystals, which will rain down all over the zone. So even if you're not in the Flame Legion area, you'll still have the searing crystals to worry about and deal with. You can see them, well, we got hit by one earlier, but you can see them falling more or less everywhere. So that won't actually stop until he's defeated. So the main use of this area seems to be farming, quite literally just farming. I know until very recently champions could spawn in the Centaur pack. I think champions can still spawn, but they don't drop a champion bag anymore, so that was recently changed. But basically the idea was to farm all the events, and when an event was not up, you'd go to Centaurs to farm the champions there, because they drop the champion bags. But that seems to have been disabled right now, so sadly the farming potential has actually been diminished slightly, but it's still okay to farm. I mean, personally I'd say take out the champions of the Centaur camp, put a champion in the map randomly and have it respawn every however long they deem necessary, oh, that's not good, and still let it drop the champion bag, because having a champion not drop the champion bag kind of ruins the point of it being a champion bag, in my opinion. So that's kind of what this area is for. The lower area anyway. You've got a lot of achievements to go through with the emissaries. Obviously you get to champion one of the races, one of the emissaries, one of the representations. So you represent for essentially one of the races, although it gets interesting when you get to Ebonhawk and Lion's Arch, because Lion's Arch stands for the Captain's Council, and Ebonhawk actually stands for Kryter, which is kind of strange, but never mind. That's basically all you've got to do on the bottom. You've got a few notable NPCs, you've got a retrainer, you've got repairs over there, and you've got a merchant here. So you can actually farm here pretty much constantly. The only thing you're missing is a trading post, but if you bring a few with you, some of the trading post expresses, then you've got that as well. People have been usually really good with banners and buffs, usually in the middle. People have kept that up very, very nicely from what I've noticed. So that's the lower section, but we actually have a section above, which is a completely different series of events and things to do, basically, even though it's in the same area. So this bottom part, you find all the achievements for that in Queen Jenna's Jubilee. But up above we have the Queen's Gauntlet. Now I'll get into this in more detail in a different video, because I'll be going through the Gauntlet fights, but basically it's a 1 vs 1 arena where you're pitted against a random PvE monster. Now I'm not entirely sure if it is random. I guess you go through tiers, and that's how it's supposed to work, but you can actually watch. So we can see Grey over there has actually just gone down. Oh dear. Don't worry, Grey, we got you. But you can actually watch people fight, and obviously when you're fighting, people can watch you as well. But you're thrown in against one PvE character. Now, from what I understand, this character usually has one very strong trait. So the best example I have is a huge AoE cone attack which will strike in front of them. So they'll start winding up and then they'll strike. And if you get hit by that attack, you're going to die. That's kind of the point of it. So it's not necessarily difficult, it's just incredibly unforgiving in that if you don't move and you want to tank that, you want to tank that in the face, you're probably going to go down. So you can see people seem to be struggling with some of these. I wonder if anybody's winning. So obviously, because you're able to watch, there is a queue system in place, which means that you can only one can be in an arena at a time, obviously, even though there are quite a few spotted around. But this means that only a certain amount of people can compete at any one time. But in between, you can always watch people either succeed or die. From that, you actually can learn a lot. If you watch what people do either wrong or right, and essentially how they die or how they succeed, then you can learn from them, especially if you're having difficulties. But yeah, that's it. This is a really beautiful zone though. I'd just like to add that on the end. Really, really nice. As a disclaimer, nothing actually gets hurt in this area. Oh, Grey died again. Nothing actually gets hurt in this area. Like, it's not actually centaurs, it's not actually Flame Legion. It's the clockwork constructs with a mesmer illusion on them. So you don't need to feel bad about killing Char, even though they're actually Flame Legion. You know what I mean? That kind of deal. So yeah, check it out if you haven't already. This is probably going to be the centre of attention for this patch. You never know what else they could add here. Hopefully we'll have a few more Sky Pirates arrive through the roof to set things on fire. Thanks for watching, folks. Good luck and have fun, and as always, I will see you next time.